Hello, beautiful creatures of the world, and welcome back to Coffee with Kerri-Lynn. It's a cold day in the Crown of Maine and the Great White North up along the Canadian border, and I'm not going to lie, my day started like crap. It was nice and toasty when I got up and came into the kitchen. The wood stove was going, the coffee pot was on the stove, everything smelled delicious. Himself was pouring me a cup of coffee, and he says, bundle up before you go out to that barn, babe, because the car is reading minus 14 degrees. I'm a little frostier in the holler down in the dip. I just threw my hands in the air, went back to bed, crawled under the comforter, and waited another hour and 15 minutes till I had the courage to face my day. It's brutal. It's the last couple days of February. But soon we will be bidding February adieu. See you later. Fare thee well. Au revoir. Hello, March. March is going to come in like a lion, but it should go out like a lamb. In a couple weeks, I'll be complaining about mud season. It's my least favorite season. There's mud on the boots, on the mudroom floor, up the walls, on the pants, on the jacket, in the hair, in the ears, up the nose. Here's to mud in your eye. The only redemption mud season has is that it's warm enough for the sun to blast your skin. The air is warmer, and I can sit out on the front porch and spin some wool. That's the redemption. What are we going to talk about today on Coffee Talk? We're going to talk about the recession. There's inflation, stagflation, deflation, shrinkflation, irritationflation in the market line, but there is no recession, there is no depression. However, before we get into this, I'm going to ask you to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I put up videos for your viewing pleasure. They are finally admitting we are in a recession. Well, Kerri, who is they? They, them, those, the people that tell you what's going on in life because you're too dumb to figure it out yourself. Those they that say there is no problem. We are not in a recession. Maybe in a couple of years we'll be in a recession, but right now life is fine until they decide we're in a recession and they can print it in the newspaper. That's when these things happen. That's who those, them, they people are, the powers that be. And for those of you who have been feeling it in your pocketbook at the market, even though you're told it's not happening, and seen the rising cost of daily life, you've probably been preparing in some way, shape, or form. You've probably given up 5 takeout coffees a week. You're probably down to a couple. We're down to 1 takeout day at the Big D, 2 people, 2 large coffees, $7. We're down to 1 of those a week now. You've been probably preparing your pantry, especially if you are a subscriber here, because that's what I talk about. I push the food because food is very important for a lot of reasons, but you need to have it. Whether it's inflation, shrinkflation, a recession or a depression, or just a weather event, you need food in your pantry. Other people have been hurrying up and trying to pay off some of that credit card debt because people are maxing out their credit cards right now just to pay for food. Do you know people who earn six figures are now living paycheck to paycheck? Go look it up. Forbes, Business Insider. Go look it up. That should scare the hell out of you. There are other people that are preparing by buying the clearance rack. Yes, sirree. Winter is ending, so all the stores have the winter stock on the clearance rack. Winter will come next year, ladies and gentlemen, and that's what I do. I wait until everything goes on clearance, and then I buy up for everybody across the board, from himself and I, the grandbabies, my adult kids. Everybody gets a little something because winter's going to happen next year. So I try to buy as much on the clearance rack as I can, stick it away, and just wait. There'll be another winter, there'll be another spring, there'll be another summer, and that's how I buy my clothes in. Now, those people that are not giving things up have had a shock this week with the announcement that we are in a recession. They have had their heads stuck in the sand. Well, you and I have been giving up eating out a few times a week at the place that makes our children happy. And maybe we've been opting to get a pizza or 2 at the local pizzeria because a family of 4 can get 2 large pizzas cheaper than you can by going to the place that makes your kids' meals happy. Well, there's always been a group of people that have had their head in the sand, and they've denied that there is inflation. They've denied that there's stagflation, deflation, They don't get inflation at the market. Maybe they're rich. Maybe they get subsidized. I don't know. But now that the news has hit, it's official, it's in the newspaper. Now they're about to panic. And do you remember the toilet paper crisis of 2020? It's about to happen again because these people who have been paying no never mind to nothing, they're paying attention now. They became awake all of a sudden, like they had 4 cups of coffee. They're going to be making a mass run to the markets. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to make your life recession proof. And yes, for those that have not begun, it is late in the game to start at this point, but you still need to start. If you are listening to my screechy voice, you can't give up. You need to reach deep down inside of you and grab hold of your inner fortitude. Food is your number one priority right now, ladies and gentlemen. Take that fancy IRS refund, and instead of buying a 192-inch TV at the Walmart because it's on sale, instead of putting a down payment on that fancy $70,000 car, let's get to the market and get more food. Even if you've been preparing, you need to prepare more. You need to prepare harder. We are in the sprint now. We're done with the marathon part, and now we're in the sprint. There's a lot going on in the world, ladies and gentlemen, and food is your key to freedom. When you are hungry, you are an easy mark. When you are hungry, when the stores are closed, when they are only open on certain hours, when they are only open for certain people. Memory lane. Let's take a little trip. There was a time that we had to stand in line. Long line. Some of us had to stand for a couple hours in line. We had to be 175 feet apart. We had to wear masks. Some parts of the country, you were required to get a medical procedure to keep working, to keep food on your table. When you are hungry, you are easy. People can tell you what to do, how to do it. They play Simon Says with you, and you do what they says. Every spare dime you have, you need to put it into food. Go buy your canned goods now. Don't worry about what you're going to grow on your garden. For those of you who are homesteading, your house, your home, your household, they're all interchangeable words. So if you don't have a homestead, I'm still talking to you, in case you was wondering. Secondly, we need to spend time learning how to cook. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back on that. Most women do not know how to cook. Whether they're the young women, and there's women my age that don't even know how to cook. They can't figure out how to make a biscuit from scratch. They need a box. They need the box to tell them what to put in it. They need a microwave. They just can't cook. Now is time to get some cookbooks. Yes, it is. Take a trip to the secondhand store, find you some cookbooks, and take them home with you. It's time to practice cooking because the last thing you want to do is start experimenting with your cooking skills or lack thereof when the ingredients at the market are scarce. Yeah. In the spring, after mud season, I'm going to take you all in our outback and I'm going to teach you how to camping cook because there may be a time where you have no gas. No gas appliance to cook on, and everybody needs some skill, and it takes some work and some practice. You're just not going to be able to cook a delicious meal your first shot over an open fire. It doesn't work like that. You need practice. You are not going to make the perfect loaf of bread. You need practice. Most people make their first loaf of bread, the dang thing doesn't even rise. Why didn't it rise? Well, your milk might have been too cold. Didn't activate the yeast. Your milk might have been too hot. It killed the yeast. Some of the greater experiments coming out of the oven in bread baking is raw in the middle. It takes practice, and the last thing you want to do is use the last of the flour that you have in your house because you didn't stock up, and there's hardly none at the market, and you got to wait in a line for 142 years to get into the store when you wear your mask. Just saying. There's N5H1 coming around. We're going to see episode 2, season 2. Yes, we are. Our third focus needs to be on chores at your homestead. or house. I said they were interchangeable words. Now is the time that you need to start divvying up the chores and decide who is going to be in charge of what on your homestead. Practicing your chores is an important skill. It's an important part of your day. You need to get a sense of what you can handle, what your skill level is, what your capabilities are. It's important to figure out your physical and mental capabilities before hardship strikes. Yes, it is. Everybody on the homestead needs to know how to take care of the chickens, how to feed them, how to water them, how to clean the coop. If you have bigger animals, if you have a cow, everybody needs to learn how to milk the cow or the goat. You need to learn how to hoof. You need to learn how to take care of these animals. You need to learn how to deworm them. You need to do all that. Everybody needs to have knowledge of this. You need to know how to cut your own wood. You need to know how to stack your wood. You need to know how to weed a garden. You need to know how to plant a garden. You need to know how to water a garden. Everybody needs to know how to do this. And from there, you need to figure out who is going to be in charge of what. What overwhelms a person living in your household? Maybe weeding overwhelms your spouse. They can't weed. You need to go weed the garden. They can plant the seed, but they can't weed the garden. They find it overwhelming. So you may be in charge of weeding and watering. Just how it works. I am in charge of every decision made on our homestead pertaining to food and livestock and people. Himself is in charge of everything that is fixer-upper, everything that is wood-related, everything that is in labor, physical, what I can't do, labor-intensive. That's his domain. Except I try to mow the lawn more than he likes because he likes it to relax. So do I. But that's that. I do the food. He does the lawn. I do the birds. He chops the wood. Everybody carries the wood in. You cannot leave one person to carry the bulk of the responsibility on your homestead. This is why everybody's got to learn. You got to learn your strengths. You got to learn your weaknesses. Because when a person who is carrying a load on their homestead, on their farm, gets sick or injured, the whole place will fall apart if every other person on that homestead, on that farm, does not know how to tend the homestead like that person did. I'm in charge of cooking every single night. Every single night, start the wood stove up. I cook the meal. After dinner, I am not in charge of KP duty. I do not clear the table down. There's responsibilities. On cooking night, he does do some cooking for us and to brighten up his cooking skills. On the nights that he cook, I do KP. That's it. That's how it works. That's how your household runs. That's how you become recession proof. Recession proof means you are not hungry. Nobody can control you because you are basically self-sufficient or even semi-self-sufficient. Little less control over your comings and goings in life and what you're going to do and not do as pertain to the powers that be. And you're not going to run yourself into the ground and get sick. And your spouse isn't going to run themselves into the ground and get sick. And if somebody does get ill, then you know how to do their job. And you can do it while they rest. And I mean rest physically, mentally, and emotionally. Because when you are sick and you can't do your job on the homestead, you feel guilty that you are pushing so much work onto other people's shoulders because they have hard work as well. And sometimes they have hard work outside of the homestead. And then they got to come home and do all your chores on the homestead. And then you feel guilty. And feeling guilty makes you more depressed and makes you sicker and more anxious. And then you just struggle to get better. In tough times, we need to be healthy and healthful of the mind, body, and soul. We need to make sure that we are not overextending ourselves and making ourselves sick. We need to make sure that we take care of ourselves. When somebody can't do a job, we need to be able to jump in on a moment's notice and do that job for them so that they can regain their health and their strength, and we can continue to build our homesteads and stay self-sufficient. Ladies and gentlemen, beautiful creatures of the world, carpe diem. because no one promised you a tomorrow.